Welcome to the Stocks with Josh show. I've got an exciting video for you guys today. I've got my friend Stock Up with Larry Jones joining me today. Mr. Jones, may you say hi?
Hi, what's up, good people?
Hey, we've got a great video today. I wanted to do a follow-up video on the VIX trade that I brought up yesterday. I got a lot of comments, a lot of interest, a lot of questions. I had personal friends who watch my channel saying, hey, Josh, is this the option I should buy? So I wanted to get on here and I wanted to break it down and have a dialogue with Stock Up with Larry Jones so that this could be even easier and better understood by everybody. I'm also going to touch base on a couple of the trades that I've talked about in this last week, how I'm thinking about them in light of the fact that we've had some additional pullback in the markets. I'm going to briefly touch on the SPX. Thank you guys for hitting the like. If you would like to receive these daily stock and crypto videos, and hit the subscribe and the YouTube notifications bell. Remember that anything I say is not a suggestion for you to buy, sell, or hold. And there are scammers in the comment section. They use my picture and my face, and they try to get you guys to DM them on WhatsApp and Telegram. Larry, today I enjoyed your video on the PCE report that came out. Can you just give me some highlights and your interpretation of that?
The personal consumption expenditures, PCE. It's another gauge that measures inflation, and it's proof that inflation is the monster that won't die. It just keeps coming back. And it's making the market fearful. That's why we had a sell-off today. Even pre-markets, it was expected to be high, and it was high. And then, I don't know if you know, Josh, but we had a Fed talking today. We actually had a Fed concert today. A lot of Fed, state by state Feds were talking, and a lot of Fed board members were talking all day today. And then that further tanked the market. But the minute the PCE numbers came out, the Dow was already down 200 points pre-markets, and then it fell another 100 points as soon as the data came out. And so, Fed Bullard wants 50 basis points this coming March. And, this is a sign that there's a small chance that he just may get it. But right now, we're just going off of what the data is telling us. Now, most of the Fed just want 25 basis points, with the exception of two, which is Master and Bullard. They want 50.
Well, I believe that if we get 50, that's not been priced in. The market
No, it hasn't.
between now and March, it might attempt to price it in, but I think we'd have to go much lower for that to be officially priced in. I think the market's expecting 25. I
Correct.
personally right now am leaning towards the expectation of 25. I
Yes.
think that the Fed can continue that path for a while. Hey, Larry, let's get into the charts real quick. I want to
Sure.
go over the SPX, and I want to go over a
All right.
prediction that I made there.
All
So
right. Let me
I just
bring
want to
you
point
up.
out that I gave everybody that we should get back. When we were up here at the 4,200, I told everybody that for this bigger move to be validated, that we needed to see it come back and back test 4,000. And we've seen that. So there's really nothing here that's a surprise. I also said that we really needed to hold this 3950 range. And right now, we are still above it, Larry. We are sitting right now at 3970. So what would be a concern, it's not dropping below it. It would be a concern to me if we dropped below it and closed below it in this range. I would see that as a breakdown. Right now, the fact that the markets is still sitting between 3950 and 4,000 means that it's still trying to sort of sort out the move. I'm actually still, until we break that 3950, I'm going to hold very strongly to the idea that we are going to attempt another push up. If we did not, and let's just say for some reason we gapped down, that would be super bearish. I think it would be taking a lot of people by surprise. It
Yep.
is possible,
Yes.
but it's not the direction that I'm currently leaning. That would be a surprise to me.
I'm
Uh,
actually in the same camp as you, Josh, with that. I think that this, just like the bear market bounce, I believe was a longer short term. I believe that this downtrend is a shorter short term, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, let me jump real quick into the BABA trade that I've been talking about the last couple days. Okay.
Which was the timing was perfect. Actually, short term, the timing was perfect.
Yeah, I really wanted to get in before earnings. So when I got in, it was between $92 and $93. Yes, we got this nice pop up, but today we've seen it break down. Now, I told everybody when I did that video that ideal support for BABA was around $89. I said that would be the place where there's real support. I said, you know what? I didn't want to risk a takeoff after earnings because I was expecting them to beat. They did beat, but it didn't take off. And I think it's because right now there's low interest in loading up stocks until the market determines its direction to see whether or not this 4,000 to 3,950 range holds. So even though it gave this little 6% pop shortly after the earnings, we eventually saw today this breakdown to this level of support that I told everybody they would be at. Now, a lot of people were trying to figure out where to buy into this as it just skyrocketed up to 120. And, I didn't buy 120, didn't buy 115, didn't buy 110, didn't buy 105. I waited for this really strong support range, right, between 89 and 93. This is where I bought. So my stop loss kicked in today at $92, and I've gotten back in here. And I am still believing patiently that BABA's got room to the upside. Larry, we've talked on the last live that we did. We talked about the fact that China's doing this easing. It's not in infrastructure; it's in consumption. It's really the first time they've ever done that. That would have a direct impact on BABA. So I'm staying the course. I have a new stop loss in right now at $87. And yes, if I lose dollars on this, that represents thousands of dollars to me. So this is what's called, Larry, a big boy play.
That's
It's
true.
not easy.
Me
You know,
personally, Josh, I
yeah,
actually made money on the options. I got in and got out, as you know.
yeah.
I got in and rode the pop. You know me, I'm out before earnings. All of my earnings is buy the rumor and sell the news. So I trade options leading up to the
Yeah.
up
And
to the earnings.
I think that's a really great call right now in this environment.
Yeah,
I went long into earnings, which was and actually, to be honest, the two times, Larry, that I've done that,
yeah.
each time it's actually cost me. Okay.
Okay.
But my expectation was that they would beat. I had a strong sense of confidence that they would beat, and they did, but the market didn't care.
Well,
It's kind of,
remember, good news is bad news, and bad news is good news now.
yeah. I'm absolutely staying the course on BABA. I think this is the right entry point, and I believe my target is still a minimum of $110. I'm in a similar place right now. People have asked me about ADA. Let me quickly go over there.
While you're finding Ada, can I add something else to
Yeah,
that may
go ahead.
affect Baba?
Go ahead.
President Xi called for a ceasefire today. This is really big for Chinese ADRs. President Xi called for just moments ago, he called for a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia.
That's
That's
huge.
actually
That's
that's
huge.
actually positive movement for Baba, Baidu, you name it, all of the Chinese ADRs. It's good news.
Well, Larry, and it also points to a broader question of China's potential aggression, or the
Absolutely.
And so for him to take that position actually is really bullish for the stock market. I'm surprised that we haven't seen a little bit more of a pop up on that
Yes.
news.
Well, I
But let me,
believe it may have been right at either at or after closing bell.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That's good news. I appreciate you sharing that, Larry. Okay, so this is ADA, and in a nutshell, I've taken a couple positions here that I've similar to Baba. I took in a position at 40. I got kicked out slightly below 39. I had raised my stop loss. Then I've taken a position back again at around 36.3633. And I am believing similarly that this is a good place to buy ADA. I'm expecting that we should potentially get into the high 50s here in a short period of time. I am playing it again, Larry, with a stop loss. Okay. And I
Okay.
would say, that I've had this experience before. I get into a play, I get kicked out. I get back into a play, and it's possible I'll get kicked out. Now, I'll be honest, if I get kicked out of a play 2 times, I sometimes don't get in the third. But
There you
at
go.
the at the moment, I am leaning still that there is opportunity to the upside in these two plays. All right, let's take a step back, Larry. Let's talk about the VIX. Now, you had said that you wanted to kind of lead that dialogue. How should we break this down for the followers?
Okay. So I want to ask the questions, right? I want to act like I am the one that knows nothing about the VIX, but I want to play it. I don't. So let me play the devil's advocate, okay?
Okay.
All right. First, I hear you talking about the VIX, and I'm going to try to say it like I don't know it. What is the VIX and what does it measure?
Okay, well, the VIX, it measures volatility, and it's directly tied to volume in options and implied volatility in options. And so there's essentially when the VIX is going up, typically the markets are going down. And so the VIX can be traded as a hedge, or it's just an indicator. It's sort of like inverse to the markets. When the markets are going up, the VIX, that means that there's low volatility and people are buying. Now, here's the specific thing I want people to take away from it. When people flood to options, Larry, it's a
Yes.
form of insurance. Okay. So that's not the way that everybody views options. Most people view options as a liquidity trade, right?
Right.
But the larger smart money people, the larger houses, the hedge funds use options as insurance. So they're okay essentially with if they've got thousands of shares of Apple, but they're facing a volatile moment in the market, they could turn around and buy puts on Apple so that if the markets were to fall and the price of Apple were to drop dramatically, they can essentially recover some of their losses, right? And so when there is a flight to options, so when there's a massive push over to options, that typically is what causes that is because the stock market's going to fall,
Hmm.
and VIX will shoot up with that increased volume going into options.
So when I get a notification on my Moomoo app, click the link down below. I'm sorry. Um, so when it says unusual options activity, does it mean volume?
Yes, yes. Unusual options activity sometimes is looked at when whales come in and buy a particular option in very high volume. It indicates that there's going to be a move. And there's a lot of people that track insider trading,
Hmm.
oftentimes hours before a big move. There was a massive call bought for NVIDIA recently when right before their earnings. And so somebody knew they were going to beat. So they waited for this exact moment right before earnings, and they piled in with large sums of money to take advantage of the beat and the push up in the stock. But so and that kind of leads us into this. So there is a trader known as 50 Cent. Nobody knows who they are, but at moments in the history of the market, out of nowhere, someone has come in and purchased millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of contracts that are cheap 50-cent call options on the VIX. And typically, right before this mysterious buyer has bought, within a couple months, we see a massive capitulation moment. And so this is what prompted that video yesterday. I also had some past experience back in 2008, 2009, before the market crash. Our buddy, James, Mr. Hatchet,
That's
James,
right. That was
he,
7-8,
yes, that's right.
2007 to 2008. That was
Correct,
before
correct,
2009. Yep.
correct. And he was trading, he was principally focused on playing the VIX. That's like
That's
all
all
he,
he. That's
that's
all he
all
would
he.
do.
Matter
Yep.
of fact, I called him about a year ago and I was chatting with him, like, what are you up to? What are you into? And he was playing volatility again.
Yep.
That's his thing. And so volatility can be a massive payday. When this trader, who's been dubbed 50 Cent, played volatility back in 2018, he made $200 million, Larry.
Yep.
When you buy something for 50 cents and it runs up above $50 and you buy it in the volume of hundreds of thousands of contracts, well,
Right.
there you go, millions of dollars. But here's the warning, Larry, that I need to make sure that all of the followers
Thank you.
understand. The VIX does not, you cannot find VIX as a symbol on your trade platform.
Oh,
Okay.
you still in my question.
Sorry.
So how
The
do
way
I find the VIX? And when I go and search VIX, I see 4 different ticker symbols. Can you explain, like 3 different ticker symbols? Can you
Yeah.
explain it?
Yes. So the VIX is actually was a partnership between the S&P 500 and Goldman Sachs. They came together back, I think, in 2004, 2006. Don't quote me on this. And they created this calculation which would take into and at one point options weren't as highly traded as they are today. So when options began to grow in popularity, that's when people began to offer up the VIX as a measure of volatility on options. And then that calculation began to be spread across. Originally, it was spread across just 20 of the top companies in the S&P 500, and then eventually it got spread across all of them in the S&P 500. So
Yes.
that initially, when we talk about the VIX, we're just talking about the tool that is used to visualize volatility. But if you want to trade it, then you have to trade an ETF like VXX, okay, which is a derivative for the VIX. So the thing that 50 Cent has gotten into, I believe, is the VXX. Now, if you go on there in the option spread, he bought because he's expecting to see a pop this May. Okay. So he bought options out past May at the $50 strike price. Now, they're not $50 strike prices on the VXX. It goes up to, like, forgive me, I'm not sure, $20 to $25. So he bought these, and he bought them at 50 cents and 51 cents. He bought 100,000 contracts at 50 cents and 50,000 contracts at 51 cents. Now, this will whittle away to nothing over time, Larry, if we never get into a volatile environment. And if this is a bull market, and if the market continues to go higher, just if it drifts sideways with dips, a little bit of dip here and there, and moves up, these
Right.
will expire worthless. So we could probably do the math. I should have did the math before I started this video. 100,000 times 50 cents. It's a nice chunk of change. That will just go to zero. Okay. If the closer, go ahead.
So if I'm new and I'm trading the VXX, ticker symbol VXX or the VIX, and I see that the market has done a reversal, right? I got in it because the market looked like it was about to tank. And now here we are, day 2. And I'm still in it, and it looks like the market is going to trade sideways or actually even go up, a reversal. And should I sell? Just sell them right now? If I wait, the longer I wait, will theta, time and decay, come to attack it? What should I do?
Absolutely. But if we go into, let's go into the chart real quick, Larry, on the VXX.
Yep.
And I think that's going to give people some perspective. Now, you can buy the VXX outright like a stock. It's currently trading at $12.25. But I'm going to go to the weekly view, which means that each candlestick represents a week in the market. That's a much longer view. And we're just going to kind of go back, and we're going to look at the moment, the big spike up in this. Okay. So back, Larry, in 2020, when we had the COVID scare, this was
Right.
sitting at that time at $54. Now, the VXX gets daily recalculated, like the sqqq and the tqq. Those get recalculated every day. And so there is a lean towards them going lower in price. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so at that particular time, the VXX was valued at $4. And when we had that massive sell-off, which would be this huge flight to options, which we're going to call options insurance for the smart money. They
Yep.
immediately protect their positions because they're not going to necessarily sell all their Apple. You follow me? They're going to buy options as insurance for their Apple position. And so that caused the VIX to spike, and it caused the VXX to spike along with it. So it went from $54 to $315 in 4 days, Larry. 4 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, after that moment, we know that over the last 2 years, we know that the S&P 500 has been essentially coming back in a V-shaped recovery. And
Yep.
what that did to the VIX is it caused a massive slow bleed off over the course of 2 years. Okay. Bringing us all the way down to the current price of around $11, which is kind of really low. As this fell back in the day, we can see that there were some pretty big moves. So after this
Yes.
came down to $116, it jumped back up to $180, right? And then it slowly bled off.
Yep.
And it came down to $96. It jumped up
Back
to
up.
$140. And it did this, Larry. This happened in just 2 weeks. These candles each, yeah, I said earlier that it was 4 days. It was 4 weeks. Okay, I apologize. Okay, so what the 50-cent trader is looking at is that we have come down all of 2022, right? We have
Right.
really come down into low volatility. And
Mm-hmm.
if you go back over the last 2 years, it's almost it almost doesn't make sense to have such low volatility in the midst of a potential financial crisis. And
Right.
so he is betting that we're going to get a jump up back to $50 on the VXX. That's what he's betting. And he's taking, a very large position, and
Yeah.
he's not buying the VXX. Okay. He's buying the options
The
on
option.
the VXX.
Yep.
Okay. So it's a leveraged position. It's the option to buy, and this would go through the roof if his options would go through the roof if we saw this type of volatility spike up
Spike
to
up.
50. Yes.
Yep. Hey, Josh. So what is the UVXY?
Well, the UVXY is very similar, and I got a ton of questions about people that asked me if they could get in, if they could get into that as a substitute. And I would say yes, the UVXY is kind of more similar in my view to buying the SQs. Okay. And and yet it's an option. It's an inverse ETF as well, and it is a hedge against your long positions. It's an opportunity for you to take profit if this market completely capitulates. And similar to the VXX, most of the smart money that I follow typically they buy puts on the UVXY because in general, the UVXY should come down in price and deteriorate in price. And
So
so
let me ask the question, because I know this is what most of the people that are watching you have only been in the market for 2 years, and this can be very confusing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want this video to help. You wanted this video to help as many people as possible. So I got into a play, and if I think the market is going to turn around like Mr. 50 Cent, then the VXX would be a better play now, correct?
if you think that the
So
market is going to go up,
up. So I think the market,
the,
so if I thought the market, like, so the VIX, the volatility was it was very volatile today, right? So let's say I bought it
yeah,
today, right? And now, because it was kind of the VXX was kind of selling off. It wasn't doing so hot towards the close, right? I'm actually in it. And so what should you do if you think the market is going to go up very volatilely? And what should you do? Which position should you be in if you think it is going down? When is it a better time to buy the UVXY? And when is it a better time to buy the VXX?
all right, that's a really, really good question. And here's the thing. The VXX and the UVXY are only going to be good if the market crashes and capitulates. Okay. It's only going to be good. So these are plays. If the market began to go up, Larry, and we had a rally,
Hmm.
these would fall. Okay. Because here's the thing, people
Both
are,
would fall.
they both would fall. UVXY,
Hmm.
the TQQ would fall, and the
Yeah, of
VX
course.
would fall.
Right.
Now, so you only want to touch these, okay, if you think that the market is not going to go up, but it's going to go down.
There you go. See, that's the number one question that newbies need to know and want to know.
Yep.
Yep.
So I went back to the local view of the VXX, and because this right here, so let's just this is a good thing to do. Right there, this was when the market had jumped up to 4,200. Okay.
Yeah.
So this had come all the way down to $10.50 the day the market went to 4,200. And
Right.
now that the market has pulled back to 4,000, this came up to $12.85. Okay.
Hmm.
And if we get to, and this can begin to move pretty exponentially. So right now you see this move as a little bit smaller, but you have to remember that this measures volatility. So volatility, we haven't been very volatile. When the markets moved up to 4,200, it wasn't terribly volatile. We were just slowly buying. When the markets have pulled back to 4,000, that also wasn't terribly volatile, but it did cause it to go up. This really takes off when we get a capitulation moment. And so people need to understand, if they're going to trade the VXX or the UVXY, which is also an alternative to the VXX, okay? If they're going to trade those, they're trading the idea of extreme market capitulation.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yep. So I wanted to ask another question. I'm thinking of all of the questions that could be asked. So, like on the day, so yesterday we had that surprise bounce that came back, right? On
Yes.
Thursday. And then Friday we have this sell-off, right?
Yes.
So, would it been better to buy it this morning while the sell-offs just when the sell-off started, or would it have been better to buy the VIX yesterday towards the close when we had that nice bounce?
I think that's a great question. And yes, I did that video yesterday because
Oh, I'm sorry.
it was at a really good price of $11.50, and that was the perfect time to buy. We saw it jump up $1 based on the sell-off this morning. So personally, I know it's hard, and this goes back to the BABA and the ADA play. The BABA play doesn't look great to everybody because BABA's falling, but that's when you need to buy. The same thing happened, Larry, with that sqqq trade that I made that was very successful.
Yes.
I bought that on the day when Tesla was breaking above $210. The market was screaming forward. Everything looked like the bulls were in charge and it was never going to stop. And the sqqq was down at 33, and then it fell even further at 32. Now I bought at 33 and I doubled down at 32. That was very tough to do on that day. So I bought when it wasn't going up, right? But
Right.
then it reversed over the next couple of days and it went all the way as high as $39. I cashed mine out above $39. And today we saw another spike up. I gave everybody, matter of fact, let me go to that chart real quick, Larry.
Sure.
Let's go here. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the exact chart that I've shown people. Haven't changed it. I told everybody that the price range that we were likely to hit was between 39 and 41. And that's exactly where we're sitting today. And
Hmm.
so I am expecting, people ask me a lot, Josh, I know you sold yours. When are you thinking of getting back in? Right now, I'm leaning towards the idea of around $35, but I'll need to get closer to it. But the point I'm trying to draw out, Larry, right now is this. You
Hmm.
don't want to get into the VIX after we see a capitulation moment. If you're going to trade it, you trade it when it got down to $10.50 or $11.50 because it could pop up to 20, 30, 40, $50. So you want to get in to, essentially, if you're thinking of doing a trade like this, you want to get in right now while the markets are relatively calm. And I said this to everybody, when the VIX is below $20, that's a calm market. The VIX is normally not below that price range. Let me take everybody real quick to the VIX.
And they're asking, what ticker symbol did you put in? Just VIX?
VIX is the way, now you can't trade the VIX that way, but you can look
Right.
at it,
But
right?
you can look at it and see where it is.
Yeah. Now,
Yep.
guys, let's look at this. Okay, that's all of 2022 right there. Okay, we're looking at all of 2022. Now, in that time frame, you can see that it was extremely common that the VIX was around $28. And you can also see that it spent quite a bit of time at above $23. So between $23 and $28, we've seen the VIX, right? So the VIX came down here the other day. Hold on a second, working my chart here. The VIX came as low as $16, and it came down to $16.82. It makes sense to enter into the VXX when you see the VIX this low, because this is abnormally low volatility, and the markets, with all the things going on right now, the likelihood, could they go a little lower, 16, 15? Sure. But
Right.
you want to buy these things, Larry, when they're right here. Okay. This is when you're buying them, when they're at the bottom of the range. And, you
Call
sell
those
them when they're,
numbers out for those that can't see it if the window is too. Call those numbers out.
yeah,
Where should they buy it?
yeah. Yeah. So really, in the last 2 weeks ago, I did a video about 3 weeks ago when this was sitting at $17. The day that it went below 17, I did a video and said, guys, this is too low of volatility. That's when the markets were up at 4,200. And that's why it's important to talk about watching the VIX, because I know a lot of new traders don't understand that. And I always go to the VIX. And when the market's peaking and I see volatility low, I know that the markets are not going to remain in that low volatility environment very long. And when it gets down to these sub $20 ranges, all of
Right.
this is sub $20 range, $15 to $17, that means that the market has gone up long enough, and this non-volatile environment is likely going to come to an end, and we're going to see this spike back up, right? 20, 30, 35, up into that range. And we're going to see the markets pull back. And so this was a signal to me to buy the sqqq that day. It's a signal to me to get into the VXX. So yes, I always keep an eye on the VIX, and I've talked about it. And the purpose of today's video is for people to better understand why they should watch the VIX.
Right. So now, if somebody bought the VIX today, midday, thinking that the market was going to go even worse, and they went out to say March, what would that be? March 24th.
Okay.
And they were pretty flat, made a little money, and then at the end of the market day, they wound up flat, right?
Yeah.
But the expiration is March 24th. What would be a good thing for them to do directionally? What should they do?
I'm going to give an unconventional answer to this, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
People, I understand that not everybody would say what I'm going to say. I am going to tell you how I play the VXX or the UVXY. I play it with money that I'm willing to burn. Okay.
Say that again.
With money I'm willing to burn. And I'm pretty conservative. You and I both trade. We share our trades with each other. I mean,
Yep.
Sometimes when you tell me you're dropping 10 grand, I'm thinking, well, I'll put in 2 grand. You tell me you're dropping 20, well, I'll put in 3 grand. But this is typically it's an under a $2,000 play on the high end. And when I put that 2,000 in, I literally psychologically kiss it goodbye, because here's what you're playing. You're playing an unusual moment in the markets, and you can't gauge that in a 30-day window. Now, here we are in 2023. The markets have gone up since October. So for 3.5 months, Larry, the markets have been climbing, which has pushed volatility down. Now, We haven't had a spike of volatility since 2020. So in over 2 years, we've not had a major spike. We had a really long run here where volatility
Right.
really smoothed out. And we had this 50-cent buyer come in and signal to everybody, yeah, I think it's going to get dicey ahead.
Yep.
Well, I am willing personally to go along with 50 Cent, who just made $200 million in 2018. I'm willing personally to throw a couple grand at that and see how it plays out. That's just
You gonna
me.
roll with 50.
I'm rolling with 50 with 2K. And you know what? I did this before. I shared that story the other day. It's been a long time since I did it. You don't get these volatile moments all the time. I did
Right.
it following James Hatchett. I turned 2K into over 20K, and I didn't
You,
know what I was doing
you and
then.
I both. You and I both. The gentleman that trained us both on options. My first thing was actually the VIX from James Hatchett. I
Yeah.
had no idea what I was doing. I believe it was 2007 in the options market. Then I had no idea, but I made money.
Yeah, well, here
Yeah.
we are. We're in a similar environment. We're in extremely low volatility.
Yeah.
If this play made sense at any time, it would make sense for the next 3 months, and that's why we're talking about it, man. I'm bringing it to everybody early, and if people do a wait and see, if they do a well, let's see how it looks 2 months from now, you might be in the middle of it. And then everyone's going to say in the comment section, Larry, you have this experience. They say, "Hey, do I get in now?" This is
Yes.
the calm before the storm. If
Yeah.
you're going to consider this play, you look at it carefully right now.
Can I say something, Josh? Y'all ask Josh what y'all should do day to day. Because they'll be like, should I get in? Should I get out? Should I get in? Should I get out? You'd be like, I can't do this. I really tried to ask questions that I'm trying to think about every question that people would have that would help them in their trading decisions. And remember, like Josh says, it's not one size fit all. Somebody may throw 500 in there, $1,000 they have to burn. It's nothing but a tip money to them. But for you, that might be your mortgage or your rent. So you shouldn't be putting that into the VIX because the truth is it's very unpredictable. It's just unpredictable. And so we want to stress that anything that Josh says is not a suggestion for you to buy, hold, or sell.
Now, Larry, you asked me some great questions. I wanted to ask you some questions. I
Sure.
wanted to talk to you about your class. Now, I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
congratulate you. You launched your class. Now, I
Yes.
want to go through some things because people ask me questions in the comment, and I'm going to address it right here.
Okay.
One, this is not my class. There is actually a link in this video for this class, but it is not my class. It is Larry Jones' class. Now, I'm
Yeah.
just going to tell my viewers that Larry Jones has been on YouTube here giving financial advice for 3 years and has
Yeah.
not been selling a class, selling a Discord. He put a lot of time into this. Really, it's a lifetime of his trading knowledge. And personally, I know this guy. I know his trades. I know his picks. I've been trading alongside of him for years now, and he is an incredible momentum and psychology trader. And so you had asked me, Larry, to do some technicals on your class, which I
Yeah.
considered an honor. And I did some videos for that. I put
Yeah.
my heart and soul into that.
You
But
have a whole chapter in there.
I
Thank
got a
you.
chapter in there.
Yes.
Um, and that's not anything I'm selling. That's not my
Right.
product, right?
Right.
I wanted you though to explain the class for people that might be interested. Who do you believe the target audience for this class is?
I will tell you that it's named the Ultimate Beginners Class because, Josh, a lot of this is so confusing to beginners that just want to make money. And so I call it the Ultimate Beginners Class, but it's really for anybody that's been trading after that started investing or trading after COVID. Actually, that's a good mark right there. And I call it the ultimate beginners because I talk in extreme layman's term. This is not going to make you a pro trader. So I have modules in there, and I start with this is a stock. This is how you open up a broker. So it's not just for those of you that been trading after or since COVID, but it's for family members also. So that's my key demographics. But in there, Josh literally does 4 or 5 classes within his module on technicals and how to read the charts and what is a candlestick. He has a whole chapter. Keenan Grace has a whole chapter on introductory into options. So you'll know and learn about options, and it gets you ready to actually go and execute. It doesn't make you an expert options trader, but it's for beginners, and that's what it is. And then I have a psychology trading in there that I'm actually adding to. And I'll just announce this on your show. I'm working with Mommy Trader right now. As of next week, we will be uploading a chapter for her for dividend stocks. So you're going to get a lot for the price. The price that it is right now, you have to go to the page, the link, and see that price will only be there for a limited time, and it's $100 off of the final price. But it's in
Larry,
beta, so I rolled it out now. Yes, sir.
I say that your class is a tribute to how you bring people together. And I'm just going to re-stress, it was a joy to participate. It wasn't a financial relationship that, my contribution to that wasn't a financial thing. It was
That is
a
correct.
friendship thing. Keenan's wasn't financial. It was
Yes.
friendship driven.
Yes.
One of the things I admire you the most for is how you bring people together collectively and take the best strengths from each person and bring that together to feed people financial knowledge and financial literacy. And that's why I'm thrilled to have that link there so my folks can go check it out. They should at least click on it to go to the landing page to look
Yes.
over the details. And you know what? Go ahead.
Your first class will be released Monday. So it'll be released Monday, and there'll be time released. I want people, there's a lot of people that are actively trading that missed a lot of basics. And so I just want them to pick up some of the stuff you'll know, just pick up the stuff that you'll know, and then you go from there. I'm personally going to be taking Josh's class. I'm going to be personally taking Mommy Traders class. I just let it out the bag of who's teaching the dividend. And I'm personally going to be taking Keenan Grace's class on options because you can never learn too much.
Now, Larry, did you ask me to be able to come on this show and talk about your class?
No, you didn't. This is a surprise. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, first
Well,
of all, thank you
I
for
want
doing
to, and so when I take the time to talk about this, I want people to understand my view on it. One of my friends, Judah, has a friend here in California, and he told me the other day, Larry, that he went out and did Uber, and in one night he made $1,000. I think that was like
it.
Valentine's
Whoa.
night. Yeah, he made big bank. But I'm just going to say this that if you don't have the money for the class, that's fine. Nobody should feel the stressed about that. It might not be for you.
Right.
But I would say this, that if you're interested in really laying a foundation for long-term investing and you say, well, I don't have the money, is there any way that you could discount it more? I'm just going to tell you that there are absolutely ways. It always starts with a decision. You decide first to invest in yourself. Then, you can get out there, you can Uber. There are many things that you can do where you can come up with the cost and you can make that decision and invest in yourself. I made the analogy the other day when we were talking about the live that some people are just kind of doing their job, Larry, and it's like playing a Monopoly game, going around the board, only
Yeah.
collecting $200 that they get from the bank, but
Right.
never investing in assets. And you
And
guys,
this is so true, Josh. The truth of the matter is they can go make this one day Uber and not $1,000 either.
no,
They
no,
can
it's
make
not
this in one
1,000 bucks.
day. They can go DoorDash one day and make this. And it's just that people don't value things that are for free. And I will just tell you, I am one of the things I'm not going to do is oversell the class. I called it the ultimate beginners class because that's my theory is talk to me like I'm three. And that's where it's no flashy graphics, none of that. We just simply lay everything out. And we're not going to pull back one iota on what we've given you every day on our page for free. I'm not pulling back one iota. I'm still giving you guys everything that I have. There's no hold back. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Larry. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to tell a little brief story. I read a book recently, and the gentleman is a coach that pulls people in who are interested in ramping up a business to become a multi-million-dollar business. And his course, Larry, costs $50,000. Okay. And it's pretty high end. He typically pulls in about 40 people to these tropical events, and they have like a weekend course. And he has many people that have come to this event have gone from having an idea of a business to making a multi-million-dollar business. So I think his course, he has at least 100 to 200 people that have become millionaires off of taking his $50,000 class. But that's not the part that interests me. It was
Right.
it was something he said about it at the end. He said that now inevitably they would have 40 slots, right? Maybe they would only have 32 people and they wouldn't fill the whole thing. And so he would reach out to close family and friends and say, listen, love to invite you, let you take the slot, let you get all the material. So he'd give scholarships, and he would give people the opportunity to get all that information that other people were using to become millionaires. They could get it for free. And he said this, and he didn't say it in a chiding way. He said, to date, nobody that had received the course for free had been able to turn it into $1 million business.
I believe that. I absolutely believe that. It's sad, but it's true. But you know, when I first started investing in the 90s, and my first investment was made in 92, there was a group of us trying to put $10,000 together for a class on investing stocks. We were trying to put together $10,000.
Wow. Wow. I
Yeah,
believe it. Well, I
yeah.
want to wrap it up there. I'm just going to say my next video, I'm really excited about launching it. It's on crypto. I'm giving price predictions, buy repurchase entries for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic, and I'm going to be talking about a crypto that is on the move with some really hot news. I'm doing that video tomorrow. That wraps it up. Thank you guys. Hit the like for me if you enjoyed this content, and the subscribe if you want to continue to receive it. And as always, peace and blessings. Larry, what else you got?
Hey, I just wanted to say it was a pleasure being on your show, and we'll do this again. You know, we should at least once a month do Technical Tuesdays again.
I would love it, Larry. Let's do it, man.
Sounds like a show. All
Thank you
right.
all.
Peace.